in collaboration with the International Solar Alliance here in Lima, the capital city of the Republic of Peru. We have heard from the leaders during the opening plenary today, and our resolve to work towards the massive deployment of solar energy has only strengthened. All of you have been an integral part of our journey. We have deliberated together, and the results of our deliberations have further taken wings. Taking a step forward, we have arranged a bouquet of sessions today and day after during the Sun World Conference, focused specially on the Latin American region. All of you present in this session are most welcome to rest of the ISA sessions as well.
So, Max. Can you put it on?
So without taking any time further, I now request His Excellency Mr. Upendra Tripathi, Director General, International Solar Alliance, to present the opening remarks and set the context.
Dear delegates, sorry that we are slightly late, but notwithstanding. The panel discussion today is by the Global Leadership Task Force and Corporates on Innovation. From the International Solar Alliance, if we look at different mechanisms for projects or programs or activities that we have, task force has been an integral part of our systems. And particularly, we find that the ISA framework agreement, it treats the corporates as an integral part of the system, in the sense that if we actually want to bring change, or we would like a solar revolution that we are talking about, ISA interacts with the corporates at different levels. We, in fact, this task force, which is headed by SoftBank and has different other members, has met several times, and with an action orientation, they have even brought out an innovation policy, which we have circulated to various all our member countries. And because innovation plays a critical role in any solar enterprise or task we're talking about. In fact, there are areas where, today you find the bifacial ones, the solar panels generating energy from both sides. And if you look at the economics of it, they say it costs 15% higher, but it gives you 20% more energy. And even there are innovations where we are trying to utilize more heat from the solar spectrum, because right now, it's only the light that we use in the PV systems. And the other thing that goes with the innovation, of course, is that continuously, the cost reduction that has taken place in the space of solar. I remember in 2015, in the Indian context, they had a similar event like this, and where a particular company came and said that they would sell 5,000 megawatt of solar at a particular price. And at that point of time, this price that was offered by the corporate was half the market price. And the Honorable Minister those days sitting next to me said, I think we should accept it. But in civil service, you don't accept anything just as it comes. You always go through a transparent procedure. And, but then, things move very fast. Today you find the price in the Indian market is half of the price that they'd offered 2 years back, 3 years back. And that partly because of innovation. And it is not merely technological innovation that we are talking about. We are talking about institutional innovation. We are talking about managerial innovation. And I'm sure within this framework of institutions, actors, and ideas, and keeping the framework of what you call skill, speed, and scale. In fact, scale has been a big thing in Aisha that brings in new innovations. And speed, of course, is a part of the innovation process that we are talking about. So in the framework of Aisha, when you talk about performance, you perform, you reform, you transform. And you do, at each step, you follow 3 things, that is speed, skill, and scale. So if you put a matrix of this, speed, skill, and scale, reform, perform, and transform, you find the central theme comes the innovation. Without taking further time, I would now, tell Rita to take over and conduct it further. Thank you. What are the speakers?
Thank you, Your Excellency. I would now call upon Professor Toby Peters, Professor in Cold Economy, University of Birmingham, London, UK, to please address the gathering. Okay. My apologies, please. It is time now to start with the panel discussion by Global Leadership Task Force of Corporates on Innovation. The theme of this discussion would be current opportunities and investment needs in solar energy sector of Latin American and Caribbean region, and role of corporates in accelerating innovations for transformative action in the region. The deliberations will aim to focus on the current solar energy scenario of Latin American and Caribbean region and investment potential in solar energy sector in this region. The panel of speakers will highlight the opportunities for corporates under the umbrella of ISA to look at deployment of solar innovations at scale in LAC region. The discussions will also aim to highlight key areas where innovations in solar energy from Asia can contribute for building innovation-based solar platforms programs in LAC regions. I welcome all the panelists to this forum. I would now request all the panelists, along with the Chief Rapporteur, Moderator, and Co-Moderator, to please take their seats as I announce their names. Chief Rapporteurs of the session will be Dr. Ashutosh Bagchi, Professor, Concordia University, Montreal, Canada. Okay, thank you, sir. The session will be moderated by Ms. Rita Roy Chaudhary, Assistant Secretary General, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, India. The panelists are Mr. Guilherme Souza, Senior Regional Manager, Brazil, and Southern LATAM First Solar. So, thank you. Mr. Jay Sharma, Country MD, Americas, Vikram Solar.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. M.K. Singh, General Manager and Technical Secretary to Chairman, Coal India Limited, India. Thank you, sir. All the panelists are already seated. Thank you, panelists. The discussion may be opened now by the moderators. Thank
you. Thank you for the introduction. As was introduced, this particular session, we are pleased to bring this on behalf of the International Solar Alliance and the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, which is in short called FICCI. So I'm going to say FICCI several times. The FICCI, which is the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, is the convener of the Global Leadership Task Force of Corporates on Innovation, which has been constituted by ISA. FICCI believes that ISA can open frontiers for promoting the use of solar technologies in member countries at a very fast pace and scale, and can help bring collective action on the ground. And therefore, through this Global Leadership Task Force of Corporates on Innovation, we envisage bringing different corporates on board to provide transformative solutions for deployment of solar energy in member countries of ISA. The Global Leadership Task Force of Corporates was constituted in April 2018 under the aegis of ISA to provide recommendations to promote innovations in the member countries, innovations in technology, innovations in business model, innovations in finance, and as well as policy level innovation. And the members of this Global Leadership Task Force are corporates who are working around the globe, who are pioneering different innovations and making investments to bring transformations that benefit humanity through the use of renewable energy. We have at present 10 corporates from different geographies who are part of the main task force. The task force is also constituted for solar technology innovation missions. These 4 innovation missions are on solar modules, on storage systems, on grids, and on electrical systems. So these different working groups who comprise different corporates are working on innovations in these 4 areas. We also have a separate working group that is looking at distributed energy. It is a working group on off-grid solar to look at energy access in areas which are deprived of access to the grid. And last but not the least, we have a financial innovation mission which is looking at how innovative financing mechanisms can help to deploy solar more effectively and at a cost-effective pace. So a total of 25 corporates are really engaged with the Global Leadership Task Force in looking at various innovations. We have 2 of those corporates who are present on the panel here today. Mr. Jay Sharma, who is representing the company called Vikram Solar, which is part of those 25 corporates who are working, and Mr. Guilherme Souza, who is from First Solar, again, another member company of the Global Leadership Task Force. I just want to take a few minutes to quickly talk about what the task force is trying to achieve and what it is. It is very important for all of you here to know, because after all, ISA is a platform that can bring together companies to work together in a partnership and collaboration to deploy solutions in different member countries of ISA. We know that partnerships and collaborations on the ground can help implement solutions for solar energy much more effectively as we leverage the different strengths of various corporates in different geographies. So one of the things that the task force has worked on, which DG ISA also pointed out, is an innovation strategy document that will provide practical measures for ISA member countries to promote innovation-based actions. And it is looking again at innovations in technology, in finance, in business models, and policy-related innovations. A very important deliverable that the Leadership Task Force of Corporates is looking at is upgrading an existing institution in a member country of ISA to something called a STAR Center. A STAR Center is a solar technology assessment and resource center, which will be constituted as a STAR Center of ISA. And what the corporates are looking at is to help upgrade one institution in at least 10 member countries of ISA to begin with. And we could start right here with Peru. And that is why we are here to have a discussion with institutions to see how corporates and institutions can work together to really upgrade to a STAR Center of Excellence for providing solutions on solar energy. And the Leadership Task Force is looking at working with at least 10 member countries of ISA. So we want you all to bring us those ideas and the thoughts of institutions that you think in your different countries which could work under the ISA with the corporate leaders to really upgrade the institutions to become centers of excellence for solar energy in the respective countries. The 6 different missions under the leadership task force that I spoke about are looking at various deliverables. And to just give you an example, we know that capacity building will be a very integral part of how solar energy gets deployed. So there might be policies that the government brings out, there might be companies who come forward to bid for projects, there might be other corporates who set up technology, the manufacturing of solar PV, but at the end of the day, you need people to execute all of that. So one of the things that we're also looking at is how do we build the capacities of various institutions, whether it's solar companies, even financial institutions, and other stakeholders that could work together collaboratively to deploy solar projects in the different countries. And this also involves skill development initiatives in different countries. So that's a very big, initiative that can be done under the umbrella of ISA to build capacities of institutions. The other thing that we are also looking at is innovative business models. There are various business models in solar energy, both in grid-connected, but particularly in distributed energy, in off-grid, where companies are deploying innovative business models. So one of the goals is how do we bring business models that have succeeded, that are innovative business models that have succeeded in different geographies to other geographies under the umbrella of ISA. This is something that the Corporate Leadership Task Force is aiming to do. We are identifying innovative business models in areas of solar lighting, different off-grid areas, as well as mini-grid business models. We know that a large part of the population around the globe does not have access to electricity. So how can we find innovative business models to deploy in these areas for energy access? The other thing that we're looking at is also deploying pilot projects in some of the island countries that are members of the ISA. These are pilot projects on energy storage. The other kinds of areas that the Leadership Task Force is looking at is also to work with startups in the areas of module manufacturing. We know that several countries have a very large opportunity to engage in manufacturing of modules. So, and that these startups in various countries can really work towards bringing innovative solutions. So the Leadership Task Force will work with startups, and what we also are seeking is to set up an ecosystem for startups in various member countries of ISA. We're also looking at grid management training programs, as I said, capacity building programs, training for capacity building of financial institutions, and to bring on board various best practices for solar system installation and maintenance. We know that at the end of the day, a plant might be put up, but if the maintenance and installation, the installation and maintenance over the life cycle of the project is not taken care of effectively and efficiently, then the project may not last the entire its lifetime. So the best practices for solar system installation and maintenance is another area that we are looking at. So what I just want to sum up by saying is that private companies have come forward to work with the ISA to provide innovative solutions for deployment of solar. And through this leadership task force, we really hope that we can help forge partnerships and collaborations in different countries of ISA to bring transformative action on the ground. So I'm going to stop here And I'm going to go back to my seat and introduce the speakers who are now going to be part of our panel discussion.
Great.
Let me introduce.
Can you also share with them that we will have an interactive session for 10 to 15 minutes? So that would be great.
Yeah, so one of the things, I think there was one slide up there, and I don't want to miss mentioning that. I mentioned that the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry is the convener of the Global Leadership Task Force of Corporates on Innovation that has been constituted by ISA. We are also the convener and secretariat for the Global Task Force of Foundations. Now that's also a very interesting thing because we know various global foundations are working in different countries to really bring projects on the ground. So what we're trying to do is to bring corporates and innovation and foundations together to implement projects on the ground as well. The third committee or a task force that I'd like to point out to is the International Committee of Chambers of Industry and Business that has also been constituted by ISA. There are 4 founding members of that committee, 2 from India and 2 from France, because India and France are the founding countries of ISA. And by rotation this year again, FICCI and the SER, which is the French Renewable Energy Association, are the conveners and co-conveners for 2019 and 20. And we have another chamber from India, CII and MEDEF, who were the conveners and co-conveners the previous year. This year, we are convening this. And why it is important, this committee, again, is attempting to bring chambers of business and industry from various countries together because the chambers are the voices of business and industry and will actually help in sharing best practices amongst corporates in various countries. So with that introduction, now I think we will start our panel discussion. Let me just introduce our panelists here. So as I mentioned that we have 2 very eminent companies here on the panel with us. And so we have Mr. Guilherme Souza, who is representing First Solar. First Solar, again, is a company which is multinational. It's also present in India. It is a part of the Leadership Task Force, and Guilherme brings the experience from Latin America itself. He's based out of Brazil, so we will get to hear from Guilherme about the experience of solar companies like him in the Latin America region. We have Mr. Jay Sharma here, who is representing Vikram Solar, again, a company which is in module manufacturing, but also invests substantially in research and development. And both these corporates are looking at various areas of innovation, research, and development in solar. Again, he brings an experience of the Americas, though Vikram Solar, again, is a company that has gone global, operating in different geographies, but headquartered in India. I would like to invite Jay, you first, or Guilherme, would you like to go first? For them to make certain introductory remarks. 5 minutes, maybe, Guilherme? Over to you.
And then can you describe them the total session that they get?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is, after they have made their introductory comments and their perspectives about how they see investments in solar in the Latin America region and what kind of collaborations that corporates can look at, what kind of best practices that different regions can share through the private sector is something that they're going to reflect on. And then we'll have a few questions for this panel. And also, Mr. M.K. Singh, you're going to come in there. Mr. M.K. Singh is from the Coal India Limited. Now, it might sound very interesting, We are talking of a coal company here sitting in a solar energy session. So that really shows the direction renewable energy is taking. And it is not just renewable energy companies who are looking at investing in renewables or different industrial sectors that are looking at renewables, but we have a fossil fuel-based company which is also diversifying into renewables. So that's an interesting insight I think Mr. M.K. Singh will share with us on this panel discussion. So now, and then we will open the floor for discussions, and we will invite all of you to address questions to this August panel. So over to you, Guilherme.
Excellent.
No. Can we switch to his mic, please?
Hablar un poco más alto, então.
Yeah, there.
Perfeito. Bueno, buenas tardes, boa tarde, good afternoon. Como el único miembro de Latinoamérica de este panel, me siento con la obligación de me disculpar por no hablar español tan perfecto. Entonces, queremos que esta sesión sea más interactiva, que sea un poco más de una troca de informaciones. Entonces, siéntanse disponibles y a voluntad para preguntar siempre que necesario, ¿ok? Voy a cambiar para inglés para no pasar un poco más de vergüenza aquí. Bueno, First Solar, just a quick introduction to First Solar. We are an American company based in Arizona State. We delivered modules worldwide. We have factories in the US, Vietnam, Malaysia. And we act vertically in the chain, developing projects, providing O&M services, and also manufacturing our own modules. So we feel the pain of each and every stake of the value chain. We also believe on ISA, this task force, because we think through this knowledge sharing. This is the great achievement that we can have by collaborating among countries, among companies. You see right now, there are two companies, two module manufacturers within the same panel, talking complementarily and saying things that, ways that we can work together here. So this is very important. It doesn't matter if I see as a competitor, if I see as a partner, if I see as a collaborator. The thing is, Latin America, we have strong foundations for solar energy. We have liquidity in the world to invest in this region. We have a very solid ground for us to grow exponentially in solar. So if we do not collaborate among each other, this market will not happen. So here we are trying to set the example and give the example that among companies, providers of the same scope of work, we should be collaborating to make sure that this market will fly. Within First Solar yet, we would like to just mention a few topics so you can question and I can clarify more out of this panel, but we strongly believe in three fronts of innovation, and we are bringing that to the region. So innovation in technology. So we spend a lot of money in R&D, and we throughout this last 10 years, we might be the module supplier that one of them that spend the most in R&D. And we believe that a company needs, as a solar company needs to make that kind of have that kind of mindset to make sure that the market has the proper maturity level. Second one, financially speaking, our region lacks understanding in financial modules, capital structures, and ways to bring and to show stability for investors around the globe. There is liquidity in the market. The money is out there. The players are ready to invest in our region. We just have to make sure that we are showing them the proper numbers, the proper image, and we have to set the tone in our infrastructure, in our governments, in our market as a stable market, as a market that they can trust, that they can foresee 1, 2, 3 to 4 years ahead of us with stability. in order to bring their resources to our projects. Aside of that, sustainability. For countries, as we see in Latin America, Brazil, Mexico, Chile, you name it, we are in the level of maturity that we classify as low to medium if compared to other countries. But we have, as the Peruvian government is now looking for setting the regulation straight for the solar market to grow, this is one concern that needs to be addressed. This is the technology that goes by substituting, complementing fossil fuels and other sources of energy. And we are not here to fully substitute it, we are here to complement, but making sure that we are worried not with the capex of the projects that we're constructing right now. We have to be worried about the long life cycle of the products that are being implemented throughout these PV plants. Just a number for you. In 2018, we closed the year with 505 gigawatts of PV installations around the globe. Let's imagine what would be after 20 years if we need to decommission this amount and growing exponentially throughout these next years. How would it will be to decommissioning everything that we need to decommission that? So First Solar brings a lot of experience on that, and the task force is for that specific reason. For us as a company who are pioneer in several topics, to share knowledge, to make sure that all the countries such as Peru can have access to the utmost information that is available in the market. Without further ado, feel free to contribute, Jay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Is the mic working?
Yeah.
Is it working? Can you hear? Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to Isa, Vicky, and thank you to you all for having us from Boston. Vikram Solar, we're a lead manufacturer out of India. We have a huge capacity, and currently we have installed a huge base in North America. And I am coming from Boston, and thank you for the opportunity. As G mentioned, all of these points which he said, I don't want to repeat again. But if you ask me as an investment company or a manufacturer, when is the right time to get into the solar business? I think so. If somebody wants to jump in 2019 and 20 onward, this is the best opportunity for you all to look at this renewable energy. Why? First thing is the technology. The prices of the technology have come down very low. You cannot go below this with the latest technology. The power output is huge, and this is the best time to invest, number one. Number two, what about the modules? The efficiency, it's very good right now. You can get very good innovative models at very competitive pricing. The long lead times, lead life for the shelf life of the modules. These panels, if they're installed correctly, average shelf life could be anywhere 15, 25, even 27 years. You can have a stable source of energy. So what can we do in this region to help support solar as a renewable energy? There's a lot of, we have a lot of mining resources. We have a lot of natural resources. And all of those resources are running on huge fossil fuel consumption like diesel, power gen sets, And can we get something innovative to help them and support them? Yes. We have created called auto modules, which are called smart modules. These modules can be remotely operated with the new technology. You can in place in very far region, and you can control these modules with your phone applications at what level of generation and coming down. So there's a lot of opportunity at this time to invest. The other thing is,